guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here. Today I'm going to be filming the crime reads and recommends video. I love crime books, and you know that's kind of one of the main types of books that I read, and I wanted to do a reads and recommends video based on it because I haven't done one yet. And if you don't know and you haven't watched any of my reads and recommends before, which I will link the playlist down below, but basically I talk about 5 books that I've read in the crime genre and whether I liked them or not. They're not necessarily recommendations, those ones. That is books that some I've liked, some I've not. I'll let you know obviously as I talk about them whether I liked them. Then I do 5 books that I have been recommended or that I haven't read yet but I'm really looking forward to reading, and they're kind of like mini recommendations based on what I haven't read yet, so I don't know if I'm going to like them. But yeah, let's get started with the 5 books that I have read and whether or not I liked them. So the first one I've got is, the book I have here is not the one I'm talking about, it's just part of the series. This one is Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, which is the 3rd book, but I'm referring to the Millennium Trilogy in general, so I've read the first 2. The first being The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and the second being The Girl Who Played with Fire, both by Stieg Larsson. Like I said, this is the 3rd one I have yet to read, but I'm really excited to do so. And this is kind of like a recommendation because I like the first one, I like the first 2 so much. If you don't know, this series follows Mikael Blomkvist, who is a Swedish journalist who has been hired in the first one by an elderly gentleman named Henrik Vanger to find his missing granddaughter who's been missing for like 50 years or something. And she went missing a long time ago, but Henrik keeps getting in the post these pressed flowers in frames, which she used to give him every Christmas. He's still getting them this many years on, and in trying to find out what happened to her, Mikael meets a lady named Lisbeth Salander, and Lisbeth is a incredibly intelligent, incredibly talented young lady, but she's also very socially awkward, and she has lots of personal issues, and it's really, really good. I love the crime story in them, and the second one was even better. And yeah, I love them. I can't wait to read this 3rd one. I would 100% recommend. I think they're really well written. Even though these are translated from the Swedish, I don't think that they feel clunky or feel kind of awkward. Personally, I love them, and the adaptations that I've seen the first film adaptation, I've seen the Swedish and the English version, and I love both of them. So definitely one to recommend, and I hope that you pick them up and love them as much as I did. The next one I want to talk about is A Time to Kill by John Grisham, which is the first book in the Jake Brigance series. I've only read the first one, and generally any John Grisham book that I have read I've liked, so I would recommend them. I really liked this one. I gave A Time to Kill 5 stars. It kind of has some reminiscence of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, if you've read that, which is one of my favourite ever classics. This follows Jake Brigance, who is a defence lawyer who has been hired to defend a black man who has been accused of murdering these 2 white men who raped his daughter. Again, you'll see the parallels with To Kill a Mockingbird. And this has a lot of kind of like racial issues that they discuss in this, which is really, really interesting. I think that this was such a good book. It was really well written, and I really liked the parallels with To Kill a Mockingbird. And I just loved it. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and Jake Brigance was a great character. He was really well fleshed out. He was really well kind of like evolved, and I think John Grisham's writing is amazing. I've read a couple of other of his books and I've loved them all, so I really want to read some more of them. I think I own The Racketeer by John Grisham, which I want to read at some point. If there are any John Grisham books that you've read that you've loved, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to know which ones to kind of get to next. But yeah, definitely another one that I would recommend. Next up is one that I actually read this year, and that was Still Life by Louise Penny, which is again the first book in a series. This is the first book in the Inspector Armand Gamache stories. This is actually set in Canada, and it follows Inspector Armand Gamache, who is trying to solve the crime of a woman from the village, a relatively elderly woman that everybody seems to love, who has been shot through the heart with an arrow, and it's about what happened, and it's about kind of town politics, and I really enjoyed it. It was not one I'd really heard of before, but for some reason I picked it up. I think I got it on Amazon. It was really cheap, and I think I bought it because I needed some like extra thing to make the shipping free or something, and I loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars in the end. There was some weird twist, like with one of the detectives in this was a female who was the first time she'd ever done a case, and there was some weird tension between her and the main character, but I still thought the book was generally really good, and I thought the story was really good, and I didn't see what was coming. I didn't like figure out what happened, so I really enjoyed it, and it is definitely one I want to continue the series of. The fourth one I would like to talk about is Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James, another author that I haven't really read very much of. In fact, I think this is the only book of hers I've read. I gave this one a 3 stars. It was not my favourite that I've ever read, and I felt like it did drag on a little bit, but I still think it's quite a good story. This basically, hence Pemberley, is basically P.D. James trying to make Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, like after that, into sort of a crime. So it's like Pride and Prejudice happened, and then after it she's then written like a crime story, and I did like it. I thought it was really nice that she pulled in all the characters from Pride and Prejudice and made it really kind of interesting. I didn't love the fact, to me the crime wasn't particularly exciting or like interesting or nothing. It wasn't like something I was like really shocked about, so I think that really didn't help me, and that's why I gave it 3 stars. I do think if you really love Pride and Prejudice, you'll probably really like this as well, because it's like extra like behind the scenes of what happened to them afterwards, which I thought was really fun. And I would like to read more P.D. James and kind of see what I think of her, because like I said, I did enjoy this one and the writing was great, just the story wasn't 100% for me. And then the final one I want to talk about that I've already read is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson, which is a book that I read quite a few times. I think I've read it maybe 2 years ago. I actually really loved it. I gave this one a 5 star as well. This follows our main character, I forget her name, but she has amnesia after something happened to her, like some kind of accident, and so every day she wakes up, she can't remember the day before, she can't remember anything that's happened to her, she doesn't even know where she is. And she is living in a house with a man who says that he's her husband. And she starts to realise throughout the book that something's not quite right. He might not be who he says he is, and she finds like things around that she's sort of leaving clues for herself. I loved this. I used to hate like really unreliable narrators, and I still don't like it when it's done badly, but this was one that was done really well, and I loved the way that they talked about, they kind of made you think like, is it real? Is she just thinking of something else? Like, where did this come from? And I thought that was really good. It kind of had the same vibes for me as The Girl on the Train, that kind of unreliable narrator thing, which worked really well. I loved that. So yeah, this one was a really good one. I own another book by S.J. Watson. I forget what it's called. The Second Life, I think it's called, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one, so hopefully that's good. But yeah, I definitely love Before I Go to Sleep, and it's a movie with Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth in, so I have to watch that because it's on Amazon Prime, and I've just got Amazon Prime, so I'm excited to get to that one. So then we're on to the 5 crime books that I want to read and that have been recommended. So the first one I want to talk about is The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and by this I just mean any Agatha Christie books basically. This actually is one of the Hercule Poirot stories, and I really want to read them. I love the TV series of Hercule Poirot. David Suchet is like my favourite human being, and this obviously Murder on the Orient Express is one of the most well-known ones, and it's been made into a film, which I have seen. But generally I've only read one Agatha Christie book, and that was a set of short stories, so I've never read one of her novels, and I know how much she is like loved. And this particular one, like I said, is like I think this one is like the 10th one in the Hercule Poirot series. This particular one follows a murder on a train, and all the people on the train are suspect basically, and they kind of get stranded. Yeah, I really want to just read more and more of Agatha Christie because I think she's great, and 100% let me know which ones I should start with. I'm also really looking forward to reading the Dublin Murder Squad series by Tana French. This one is In the Woods, which I believe is the first one. So this says, you're 12 years old, it's the summer holiday. You're playing in the woods with your 2 best friends. Something happens, something terrible, and the other 2 are never seen again. 20 years on, Rob Ryan, the child who came back, is a detective in the Dublin police force. He's changed his name, no one knows about his past, even he has no memory of what happened that day. Then a little girl's body is found at the site of the old tragedy, and Rob is drawn back into the mystery. For him and his DI partner Cassie, every lead comes with its own sinister undercurrents. The victim's apparently normal family is hiding layers of secrets. Rob's own private inquiries are taking a toll on his mind, and every trail leads inexorably back into the woods. I'm really looking forward to this. I've heard amazing things about Tana French in general, and I've never read one of her books, and I don't know why, but I'm so excited to read this. And yeah, I feel like this is definitely one I'm going to get to very soon. Number 3 is the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I read this a long time ago, so I'm including it on this because I'm talking about the series in general and I haven't read all of them. I've read Angels and Demons, which was the first one, and then this is the second, which I have, like I said, read. And then I think the next one is The Lost Symbol. I'm not sure though. I've got quite a few. I think I own Inferno as well there, so yeah, I've got quite a few of these. This follows a Harvard professor named Robert Langdon, who is a symbologist, and he goes around trying to solve different things based on symbols. Now, the first one that I read, Angels and Demons, is set in the Vatican City, and it talks about kind of the Illuminati. This one, as far as I know, obviously is about Leonardo da Vinci's work, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. These are quite difficult books to read. They're quite long and they are very intense. There's lots of information in them, but I still really love them, and I'm kind of not upset that I'm going to be rereading them. So yeah, this one is definitely one I'm including it on my recommended because I love the whole series and I haven't read them all, so I really want to get to them. Number 4 is another series, and to be honest with you, a lot of the crime books that I read are part of series, so this is not really any surprise. This one is The Surgeon by Tess Gerritsen, which is the first book in the Rosalian Isles series. I believe I might have read The Surgeon like 10 years ago, but I haven't read any more of the series, so I am including this because honestly I don't remember anything about it. This follows Jane Rosoli, who is a homicide detective, and Maura Isles, who is a forensic pathologist. Is that what it's called? Yeah, and it's their partnership, I think, and I think in the first one it's kind of them getting together as a partnership, and then the rest of them are throughout. There is a TV series of this which I have not seen and I can't seem to get hold of, apart from if I were to buy the DVDs, which is annoying. But I'm really looking forward to this. I remember liking this one, like I said, a long time ago, but I really want to read the rest of the series because firstly, Tess Gerritsen's writing is incredible, and secondly, I just love a good thriller. And the final crime book that I wanted to talk about is Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, which is I think this is the first book in a trilogy by Stephen King, and you all know how much I adore Stephen King. I have so many of his books and I really want to continue reading them. I've read quite a few. Generally, I think he does thrillers amazing, he does horrors amazing, and I can't wait to read a crime book from him. This says, who is going to be the fish in this relationship and who is going to be the fisherman? Bill Hodges, retired cop, tormented by the Mercedes massacre, a case he never solved. Brady Hartsfield, perpetrator of that notorious crime and preparing to kill again. Now each is closing in on the other in a mega-stakes race against time, from worldwide best-selling master of suspense, Stephen King. And he generally does suspense really well, so I believe this will be great. My mum actually read this one. She has like the second and third, and she asked if she could borrow the first one so she could read it before she carried on with them, and she said it was amazing, so I'm really looking forward to this and then continuing on. So there you have it, guys. That is my crime reads and recommendations video. Let me know what your reads and recommendations are. I would love to know in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I upload every Monday and Friday at 5 PM, so do come back and check out my channel again, and I'll see you later. Bye guys!